What's up, everyone? Joe with ECRM here at our snack session in Dallas, and we have a really cool interview today because it involves two people who I've known for a while and I really like, and they're doing some cool things together. So all the way on the far right is George Argires with Argires Snacks. You're the owner, right?
Yes.
And president or CEO.
Yep.
And then next to me is Emily Page, the CPG growth strategist for Start to Sold. And we're going to cover a couple of topics. One is how that by asking the right questions during a buyer meeting, you could really uncover the true needs and objectives of the buyer that you're meeting with. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is packaging and when and how to do a packaging refresh, because both of them worked on both of these things together. So thank you both for joining us. And I guess to start off, I want to get backgrounds of each of you. So George, could you give everybody, you have a really interesting origin and history of the brand. Can you tell everybody a little bit about it?
Sure. So second generation family business, started in 1949. My father immigrated from Greece back in the teens, and he always wanted to own his own business. Started the company in 49, sold a lot of wholesale produce, and got involved in shell nuts. And we would rebag them for produce departments. Did that for a number of years, sold our produce business in 2002. I came into the business in 78. And in 2002, we sold the produce business. At that time, we were selling a lot of nuts. And back in 07, 08, with the financial crisis that was occurring at the time, we had to look for line extensions in different categories and chose popcorn as an area we were going to focus on. Started popcorn in 07. We started to get retail distribution in 2012. In 2017, we started to make our own cheese formulations at a time when the government had decided to ban trans fats in foods. And from there, we developed our Argires Snacks brand, and here we are today, building our brand through new customers and through ECRM events to meet new prospects who can benefit from our great taste.
Awesome, and that was the abbreviated version of it because there was a lot of roller coaster rides within there, really interesting stuff, and I'm glad that you're with us today, and good to see you all the time.
Likewise.
And Emily too. So give everybody a little background of what you do, because again, like I said, they both work together on these two items that we're going to talk about today.
Well, my name is Emily Page, and I have Start to Sold, which is a CPG growth strategy website where I put all of my expertise and wisdom that I had from building my own brands and selling them. I've owned multiple companies, multiple CPG companies. I've personally pitched products at ECRM through Range Me and built millions of dollars of revenue just through meeting buyers at this trade show. And so I've taken all that experience and given it through Start to Sold, but also people can hire me as a one-to-one CPG growth strategist. I also still own today Pearl Resourcing, which is a branding and packaging design company. I bought it from a gentleman who's retiring, and he had owned it for 40 years, and I've owned it for 12 years since. And we do physical structural design as well as visual branding and packaging artwork.
Excellent. It's very difficult to describe. You're like, what does Emily do? So, well, she does this, but she also does this, and that, and that, and that. So it's like, okay, whatever you need, basically, she can take care of it.
Yep.
There's also a whole bunch of contract manufacturing stuff that you know about, and so I just send everybody to Emily when they have an issue.
Very wise.
So, well, and that's what happened here, right? So George, you had a particular challenge, right? Because you've been coming to our sessions for a while, and there was a particular challenge that you had. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the problems, I'm a chemical engineer by education, so sales was not something that I learned or was taught during school or in my early years. And one of the mistakes that we make as owners is we think that our product is everything. And we tend to, I say, vomit during a sales presentation of taking up all the oxygen in the room by saying our product does this, our product does that, our product does something else. And we leave a meeting without understanding very much about a customer. or a prospect. And what I had actually taken a private label sales class. And in there, what their point of view was that most of us are basically, if we sell food, we're selling some type of commodity. Yes, we may have differentiated this or differentiated that, but essentially, in our case, we're selling popcorn. There's a lot of people who sell popcorn. So what is more important is to find out from the buyer exactly what they look for in a new product, what they're having trouble with, how do they do business, what are they looking for, where are you shipping to. There's a whole series of questions that really make the job of tailoring a quote for that customer much, much easier. And when we were going to have an ECRM virtual event, I had met Emily shortly before, and she said, well, why don't I help you create questions that you can use during this interview? And so there were a series of about 15 or 20 questions, very industry retailer specific, about operations, about like how do you judge a new brand? Like if you get on the shelf, what are the metrics that you're going to be judged by? You know, what promotional monies do you need? And so on and so forth. Do you want a dead net price? What are your payment terms? And what happened is in a 20-minute meeting, I had learned more about this prospect than I ever have from any other customer before. And it ended up resulting in a quotation and a commitment to do business this fall. So it was actually really successful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Emily, what made you come up with this kind of path or strategy for your clients?
Well, I know from firsthand experience that in order to close a retailer, you need to deeply understand them. Retailers are risk averse. They're afraid of making a choice that would actually cost them money. And we as brand owners don't realize this. This is the problem we're trying to solve for them. If they take a risk and buy your product and you do not deliver, they do not make enough money from it. Let's say there's bad quality. You misunderstood the terms of what they were asking for, so that you don't deliver it correctly the right way. They waste time, they waste money, and they could even lose their own job. So you're actually a risk for them to buy from you. So if you want them to feel trust, feel safety, they really need to deeply feel you understand them. You need to solve their pain points and their problems, which are unique to themselves. Every retail buyer, every category, every micro category within a category, like snacks, maybe popcorn, chips, pretzels, have different criteria and issues that they're dealing with. And so the mistake we all as humans sometimes can make is thinking about ourselves first. We've all been on maybe a first date or maybe met a new friend who just talked only about themselves. Do we like that person? No. We like the people who engage us in conversation and who show that they really deeply understood our problems. And so I wrote a bunch of questions specifically based on my own experience. And this is part of the coaching and consulting that I do with brands through Start to Sold, is helping them think about themselves in a way that is service. Service. So we write questions specific. You should always have a script before you go and meet with any retailer of questions that you plan to ask them to help you get to the heart of the problem.
And two things. One, I think the cool thing is that, like the first thing you said, the way you previously approached it, you're doing most of the talking.
Yes.
But this second time with the retailer you landed to deal with, they're doing most of the talking in the meeting. And what I found, my career as a journalist, my role was to listen. And then, but if you spend most of your time listening, they think you're a good conversationalist and you haven't said anything. For that reason, you're letting them share what they need.
And there's an outline and a structure to what she gave me. So there was product fit and category review, where are you having trouble? What are your slow SKUs? What flavors are good for you? What flavors aren't? Sales expectations and performance, like what do you expect if we do business? Like how many packages a week do you want to sell per store? And those types of questions. Then vendor selection, like how do you pick a vendor? How do you go about? Who's the decision maker? How long does it take? And then ordering and logistics, just understanding when they want it, when they're giving you purchase orders, are they going to give it to you by EDI, by fax? Where are they expected delivered? Are they picking up? So it's a lot of the mechanics, which is really what businesses are all about, which is operations. You can market, you can do all the marketing you want, but you got to deliver at some point. And that's the nuts and bolts underneath the hood that are really important.
And what's interesting is all those answers that you're getting, those are not things that you're going to find looking at their website, visiting their stores, even the information. We provide a lot of information on the portal, but it's general. Okay, what are they looking for? What are the specific needs for that? But those operational questions, you really need to dig under the hood, and the only way to get that is by asking questions.
Yes.
So now, Emily, these questions, do they vary depending on the type of retailer, the channel? Like, would they be customized for every single retailer?
They should be. There's obviously general topics of pain points, and I talk about that extensively with interviews with you, as well as on Start to Sold YouTube videos and blogs. We go in depth at the different types of risks and concerns that retailers have. So some of those remain the same, but obviously if you're talking to somebody and that person talks to you like a robot and the script sounds unpersonalized, no one's going to respond to that. The goal needs to be to listen to them, read as much information available as you guys provide on the portal, so that the questions, you eliminate a question, don't ask it if it's already been communicated to you. So it should be a custom written script based on your product category, your micro niche in that category, as well as the retailer.
Gotcha. So it's a little research ahead of time to kind of help tailor the questions. So now, George, you've been in 2 days worth of meetings now, and now that you're armed with this knowledge, how has it been applying it in your meetings here?
Well, again, the meetings are 10 minutes, so you don't have a lot of time, but what we do now is we only speak for about 2 of them, 2 of the 10. And it's quickly bam, 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 this is who we are, this is what we do. Now we start to get into these probing questions. Because when you try to be authentic with people, and to Emily's point, everyone's different and you have to talk to them. One thing I believe is that if you can show some curiosity and listen, like you said, I think you come across stronger than when you're very programmatic, or you just ask the same 2 questions. And the conversation flows better, even if you may be a little introverted. It actually goes a lot better.
From my experience in the brands that I've seen over the past 11 years, is that the ones that consistently have success are the ones that do more listening. So they listen a lot. The pitch part, and I love when you hear all these whole pitch land, this and that. It's like the pitch part is usually the smallest part. It's the listening. They should have a listen slam, right? It's not as sexy, but that's the more important part, is the listening. So it's really cool hearing that 80% of your meeting now is listening.
Yes.
And so like two ears, one mouth.
One mouth.
And
Mom always used to say that.
And the thing is, as much as I love to talk, and everybody listening to this knows I love to talk, but I think it's more important to listen. And I know when to shut my mouth and listen, because that's where I get all the good stuff, right? So now, this is all what we were going to talk about at first. But then when they came in, they showed me their new packaging design, and I was blown away by it. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit too, since we have both of you here, and they brought some samples. So I don't know who wants to start, but can you talk a little bit about how you came up with it, why you decided to do this design? It's kind of a line extension.
So I'll start. We needed to solve a problem that we had, which was not long enough shelf life for retailers and to get into the channel. And that sent me on a journey for a good 9 months or so of trying to figure out a new design for us to attract new customers. So we have a very solid base of business, and very happy with what we do, but in order to grow, you have to keep evolving. And so from there, from needing the higher shelf life, well, now it's the brand communication and the identity. And being a little bit older, right, more conservative, The work we had done previous to meeting Emily was probably of that ilk. And it was more average. And when we brought on Pearl Resourcing, her company, to help take what we had started with, which was taking our bold flavors, outrageously good flavors, and now trying to express that in design, her team did an incredible job that took us in a whole new direction, which now identifies with the younger generations, the Gen X, Gen Zers, the millennials, people much younger than I am, and the response at the show has been really, really positive.
Excellent.
Really
So
positive.
you're the packaging nerd. You want to walk through it?
I do. So as a consultant, I pointed out that I thought there was great opportunity because this product is just epic. I mean, the flavor profiles are so bold. Argires Snacks is just famous for this incredible, unique recipe of incredibly powerful cheese. We all know Cheetos and a lot of other snack companies that have cheddar. Where's the really cheesy popcorn? There's ones out there that have cheddar, but it does not have bold flavor. It's actually kind of very muted. And this is outrageously bold flavor. So we said, my advice to him was, hey, let's launch the new packaging structure with new branding and something that actually captures this outrageousness. And so, I am actually not the graphic designer who makes these things. I do take no credit. Dave Kornick is our brand identity director, and he came up with these concepts. And so I'm gonna share them with you because you were the first to know. Here we have Argires Snacks. And so there are three, we're gonna go in deep. There we go. So we have full-blown cheddar, and then we have cheddar with caramel. And then over here we have something called triple mix, which is cheddar, caramel, and hot. And so what you can see is there's these really fun characters that we've developed who are little popcorn kernels. They're kind of like minions where they run around and make popcorn shapes. So we have then we're making peace symbols. We have thumbs up, and we have the hearts with really outrageous bold colors.
And they have names, didn't it, right? This one's Trey.
We have Chaz, and then we
Slick.
have Slick. And so, I'm just so impressed always. Dave is such an incredible genius at design. He's always all over the place, creating whole worlds for brands that have emotion, have connection, that speak to flavor even before you've tried it. And so I'm really, really pleased with the final outcome. And these products are going to be manufactured, and so you will be seeing them on store shelves very soon. And you can come check it out at Argires Snacks. The labels are not yet on the website, but they soon will be.
Well, let's walk through a couple of these things because one, right, the little guys, right? Trey, Slick, and who's the other one?
Chaz.
And Chaz, right? Why though? For people that may not be as familiar with branding and packaging design, kind of like a 101 explanation. What's the significance of having like kind of
Characters?
What do you call characters? Yeah, like that.
Well, so the big thing that people sometimes forget when they're focusing so hard on their great product is that people don't just buy what they need, they buy what they feel. Feelings actually motivate us to make purchasing decisions, and the things that communicate to us the fastest are stories. Stories connect to us deeply, and so do bold, bright colors, shapes, images, funny things that make us laugh. And so Pearl Resourcing especially focuses on highlighting the bold colors, telling a story with graphics. And these little guys tell a story, not only with their wild faces, their funny names, but the weird shapes that they make on the packaging based on the flavor.
And I think they give it personality.
Yeah.
They give it a little bit of personality. The name certainly, it's got cool names, but each name is like a different personality. You could do a lot. I was already talking to George yesterday about bobbleheads, where it's like a popcorn like bobbling for these guys. And then, I think each one can be developed as a character given life. And you're absolutely right. I mean, stories, people remember stories, they don't remember data. And there's research behind that, right? If you're just spouting out numbers, it activates like 2 parts of the brain. If you're telling a story, it's like 7 different parts of the brain. And that's why in the old days, before writing, everything was told in verse or as a story because you could remember that. You couldn't just remember, if you try to memorize a page of a phone book, but you can memorize like a song.
What's a phone book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We're catering to the younger generations, right? We used to have phone books. But yeah, it's easier to remember a story, a character. But then also the couple of other things that jumped out at me, and I am by no means a packaging design expert, but I love the fonts. It's they have a lot of energy, excitement. It really gives you that feeling of excitement, right? Ridiculously savory, utterly addictive, outrageously cheesy. So you can actually feel it. Feel it when as someone who's been writing for the past 30 years, I'm a big believer in the craft of writing and actually using language. For the feeling and the flow of sentences or phrases, and so I love that part of it. So again, this is my uneducated, very basic packaging design knowledge of what I'm seeing as a consumer. I also, the call outs too, I like. Again, just me personally, I love the pronunciation thing in the back. It says Argires. So
for anyone who has struggles with the enunciation of the name.
Which I do, because I have a New York City accent, as you guys know, and I tend to jumble my words together and slur some words together. So any phonetic help that I could get is great. So I just thought it was pretty cool to have that in the back. It was a really nice little touch. But yeah, these call outs, I really like them. So do you want to take us through some of that? Or?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think the outrageous thing is that there's really bold flavor, and you won't believe me till you buy it and try it, and then you'll be shocked. But we also talk about the unbelievably natural call-outs, because we are using 100% natural flavors.
And colors.
Those are colors. Kettle popped, it's 100% real cheese, which makes it, you feel, we want to make sure that food is safe for families.
And the younger generations, well, actually you're hitting the older generations with that too. Let me explain why. The younger generations want all that clean stuff, but the older generations now are looking after their health, but also that's what's going on, with RFK Jr. and the big push is, so that's impacting the older generations, the more conservative people. They're getting into the health stuff too because of that. So you're getting both ends now.
Well, and what's awesome about this, and I gotta make sure this is 100% clear, that this is not a health food. This is actually 100% indulgent. You're gonna eat it and you're gonna wanna cram every nook and kernel into your mouth because it's so delicious. But let's at least make it good for you. And let's make clean, natural ingredients, and that way we don't feel as much guilt. We don't feel any guilt because we're gonna eat and indulge just a little bit, but it's not gonna be bad for us. It's gonna be good, real ingredients.
Yeah, I downed a bag sitting at the table when I was with them.
But I need to tell your community that this doesn't just happen like I know in these 5 or 10 or 15-minute conversation. It looks like everything went boom, 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 boom. But you have to kind of trust the process and not prejudge the outcome. One of the things that I see that I know that frustrates Emily a little bit is I'm not a real strong goal person. Because what I've learned in life is that as you take the next step, something else reveals itself. So sometimes when you go down these packaging changes in your business, you have to kind of trust the process and not look for the outcome, because I would have never thought we would have landed here. If you'd asked me that 3 months ago, we would have never gotten here. And if I had preconceived where I wanted to get to, then I would have missed the opportunity to enjoy the creativity.
Well, I was surprised because I had no clue that you were working on this. I knew you were working on the other thing.
Right.
I knew you were working with the Start to Sold Emily, but not the Pearl Resourcing Emily.
That's right.
So I didn't know she was wearing both hats for it. So when I came, this literally here was the first time I saw these, and I loved it. So I think this is great, and I think you touch on an important point where process, right? This is all a process. Nothing happens overnight. We have brands that may come for the first time and they're like, they're expecting a deal right away with them. It doesn't happen that way. Everything takes time, especially when you're dealing with mass retail, the larger players. Everything takes time. There's a lot of back and forth, right? You didn't close the deal in that meeting. There was follow-ups afterwards. And what was that like?
Not only that, but we've been here a number of years.
Yeah.
And so you meet the same people over and over. It's only now that we've overcome some of their objections that we feel we're going to make more progress. The follow-up after our meetings, after the questions, after the proposal, We have Pearl designing their private label in this case, and it's been all positive, and it's a great, good working relationship. So just encourage everybody, if you listen a little bit more, you may be surprised.
Awesome.
What'll happen.
Well, you know what? I think that's a perfect thing to end on, is that really the importance of listening. That's what this is all about. That's how all of this happened, was just from listening to experts, listening to the retailer, and and then listening, trusting the process.
And enjoying the journey, right? Instead
You
of
have to.
prejudging the outcome. You shouldn't pick the destination, you need to enjoy the journey in
Yes.
trying to get there.
That's true. And you know what? If you're not enjoying it, then what's the point?
Right.
So, well, thank you both for joining us, and congratulations again on your
Thank you.
success.
Thank you.